Welcome back to Muslim Apologetics Australia. Wish to give you my view on what I think about Muslim-Christian debates, or say atheist-Muslim debates. And do we actually get some truth to it? Do we basically get to the bottom of it all? And the truth is, folks, I don't believe that debates actually solve who is right. Well, you can get points from debates. You can find out some arguments, how they weigh up against each other. There are some points you could look at and say, hey, look, the Muslim may have won that particular point. There may be a point where the Muslim may get refuted on a particular point. There are sometimes points where Christians are refuted on a particular point. So if you're asking me, are debates beneficial between Muslims and Christians or Muslims and atheists? There are yes and no's. And my belief is when you're actually in a one-on-one setting with a Christian or an atheist, and you go head to head, and you have a debate moderator, and you have 45 minutes on either side, and then they'll start with an opening, and then it will end with, I guess, what they have, a counter rebuttal section, and which usually ends up with a crossfire section. But usually you'll have the Muslim who finishes last, or the Christian who gives his last closing statements. But my theory is not every single person, whether you'd be a Christian or a Muslim, not everyone has all the answers, especially on the spot. I watched a debate once before between, for example, Dr. Shabir Ali and Sam Shimon. And what you had is Sam Shimon was constantly referring Dr. Shabir Ali to the Answering Islam website. And Shabir Ali would remind Sam Shimon to say, look, we're having a debate here. We're not, why are you requesting us to go elsewhere? You're supposed to present your information to the table. I'm supposed to present it, and we're supposed to go head to head. But even Sam Shimon acknowledged that you can't just basically deal with a particular argument in a limited time frame. So this is why I believe that if you're going to have a one-on-one debate with a Christian or an atheist, and you're trying to get the audience to find out who is right and who is wrong, it may very well be that the Christian may think that the Muslim has been disproven. But that isn't because Islam is wrong. It simply may be that that individual, that Muslim, was just basically limited in knowledge. And we find this quite often, that whenever a debate happens, no matter who it is, I think there was a debate between Bart Ehrman and Lincoln, two New Testament scholars going head to head with one another. What did Dr. James White do? He did a review of the whole debate. Well, most of the debate anyway. And he was basically trying to defend Lincoln, where he basically failed to address Bart Ehrman or didn't give sufficient evidence. So then Dr. James White had to come in and give more information to it. I remember when a debate took place between David Wood and Sami Zatarawi. Sami Zatarawi did a fantastic job in refuting David Wood on his many points, and the topic of the debate was, is the Prophet Muhammad a true prophet? It was one of the first debates that took place on stage on that particular subject, which was quite fascinating. But there was a question in there that David Wood asked. Sami, how can I put it? He didn't have too much beneficial, strong knowledge to counter that particular argument. Now, this doesn't mean that he lost the debate. In fact, when you look at most of the points David brought up, Sami refuted every single one of them. There was just one particular point that just needed a bit more emphasis by Sami Zatarawi. So was the debate completely settled there? No. So what did Muslim apologist Bassam Zawadi do? He wrote an article defending Sami Zatarawi and showing David Wood that there was more answers to the question that Sami Zatarawi did not completely fulfill. So the point I'm making here, folks, is that debates don't get settled in a simple setting of 45 minutes on each side, including counter rebuttals and so forth. I believe that the most beneficial debates get settled in apologetic works online. Because what you do is there's no time frame. You know, when a person gives you a counter response, you can keep responding to it. And basically you can constantly, fight out the counter responses. So I believe it is more beneficial that you write articles or make YouTube videos where you can continuously do counter responses to, settle and finalize the dispute. In saying that, of course, it'd be irrational if there's continuous back and forward rebuttals too. I mean, we need to also have common sense too. It can't just continuously go endless. If the point is made, the point is made, and you don't have to continue to scratch the wound. And it doesn't obviously mean whoever's got the last say has got the victory. It just basically means that the last say was just not that important and not worth responding to. And it could mean that it's already been responded to and there's no need to further beat a dead horse. But the point I'm making is that I believe personally that debates outside the 45-minute time frame is a lot more beneficial than coming into one particular setting. And the other limitations I found out when you have that particular time frame setting debates is when it comes to a crossfire section, you have, for instance, a question raised. So you get both sides to address that particular question. And what happens is it goes back and forward probably once or twice, but then it's not allowed to go again because the next question has to be addressed. So, like I said, just because the last person has answered the question and just because the microphone has been taken away from him, it doesn't mean that there was no answer. So that's why I think it's always best to do your debates and responses through polemic work, through articles, whether that be even YouTube videos and so forth. And what I also found pretty more progressive than a one-on-one setting is, like things like Speaker's Corner, where you could, constantly go back and forth and talk to one another to settle the dispute. So when a Christian comes up to you and says, oh, look, I want to prove if you're a good debater. Come on, debate me and, let's go head to head with it. Well, sure, you could debate that, but it doesn't mean the end all. Even if you've been disproven, there may be a particular piece of information that I may not have access to while I'm actually debating you on that particular topic. So, I can't just simply leave the one-on-one discussion and say, hang on a minute, I need to just go and do my research and find out what that particular verse means. Or you may give a scientific inaccuracy in the Quran. I might not have that information and rebuttal ready for you because it deserves intense investigation. And I might need time to get back to you on that one. So just because I didn't have an answer to the question, it doesn't mean that you actually refuted Islam. It just means that you're debating a person that is obviously not going to have all the available information in his possession to give you a rebuttal there and there on the spot. Responses take many, many months of research, investigation, looking at historical records, looking at the Mus'haf, looking at the Islamic jurisprudence, going through the archives, looking at this, looking at that. So simply trying to drum that down. I want the answer right here on the spot. If you can't, it means I've refuted you. I don't think that is a fair judgment. Regardless, even if it comes from a Muslim, if the Muslim is hounding a Christian and saying, give me an answer, if you can't refute me, you've lost the debate. I think it's not a sensible way to do it. And I think there should be a lot more honesty in debates. Just put your hand up and say, I don't know the answer. I'll get back to you on that one. That's a lot more humble. It doesn't mean that you've lost the debate. It just means it needs more research and investigation. So am I actually open to doing debates one-on-one, 45 minutes each way? Yes, I'd love to do it. In fact, my objective is to go after some top apologists. I've challenged David Wood. He's actually rejected the offer. I've asked Sam Shimon to debate me. He's rejected the offer on Facebook. I've gone to, I'm in the process actually of going to Dr. James White. I actually hope he accepts a debate here in Australia. And that would be wonderful if that actually takes place. I think participating in such debates, again, it doesn't actually prove one is true than the other. It's more of a promotional tool, I believe. And that way people get promoted, people tend to listen to you more, your work gets advertised more. I think in that aspect, debating prominent Christians is a good thing on a one-on-one basis. But to get to all truth and to really settle down the issue, I don't think it could be resolved in one setting. And if any Christian or Muslim or atheist or whatever you are, and if you are claiming that, oh no, it can be totally settled, then they are being completely dishonest to themselves. You may beat the individual, say whether he's Christian or Muslim, you may beat the individual, but it doesn't ultimately mean that you're beating Christianity or you're beating Islam or you're beating atheism. And in saying that, you may be refuting some of their points and some of their arguments, but that doesn't mean there's no counter rebuttal or no counter response, even if you don't hear it in that debate. It just means that the individual that you're debating is limited in knowledge. So yes, that's my overall perception on debates, one-on-one debates. Thank you.